That's wealth to us. But how many people know peace of mind is wealth? A good night's sleep is wealth. A complete restoration of your body is wealth. We all desire wealth. Wealth is actually defined as the abundance of valuable resources or material objects or the control of such assets. Who knows that we ain't in control of nothing? God's in control of that. So everything about you is given by God. So he gave you the power to get what wealth you got. And when it comes to the money and the material objects, he owns those too. So you have to enter into a covenant with God to get those things. God's all about a covenant. So what is a covenant? A covenant is an agreement between two people where they have vested interests and responsibilities to each other. God said, I'm going to give you the power to get wealth if you do what I tell you to do. If you follow the direction I'm giving you, you're going to have everything you need and most of what you want. So, economic prosperity and all of these other things are things that God's promised us if we follow what he said. Now comes the time when I got to step on a few toes, but it will be okay. That brought me to mind thinking, well, Lord, I live in Florida. The cost of living is kind of high down here. I could use some more money. And he said just as clearly, he said, well, how do you expect me to give you more money if you haven't properly handled what I already gave you? I said, well, Lord, I tithe. He said, are you tithing right? And this is something we learned not long ago, because we were tithing off our net. So we don't get that other money. Uncle Sam gets that. How many know that your taxes are just a bill that gets taken out before you get your check? You still got that money. That was still part of your increase. So you tithe on your gross. And I've watched things happen. We started tithing on our gross, 4 or 5 months ago? And all of a sudden, my team started making bonus. Woo! More money, more money, more money. And then I tithe on that. And then I hear, well, there's a possibility they're going to start giving merit increases next year. Woo! More money, more money, more money. It's all about doing what God said do. He commanded that 10th. He didn't say it was optional if you felt like you could afford it, or you give this after you've paid all your bills. If you got anything left, I'll take that. He said 10%. So how can we trust him? How can we expect God? Not even trust him. How can we expect God to bless us with more if we're not even handling what he's currently giving us properly? Well, the same thing can be said in praise and worship. Praise, you're commanded to do. If you don't do it, the rocks will cry out. Praise is your tithe in the Spirit. Worship is your offering. The harder you praise, the more he's going to do. The more you worship, the more he's going to add to it. Now, I'm just sort of speaking out of things that I've learned over the last little bit. When I stopped worrying about who was watching me or what they thought of me or pretty much anything, because I really don't care too much about what anybody has to say or think anymore. God is the only one that matters. God said he would rebuke the devourer for our sake. What does that mean? That means everything that's out there trying to take your money, trying to take your joy, take your peace, that's the devourer. And God said he would rebuke him. You don't have to fool with him. He said he'd rebuke you. You just do what I told you to do. If we knew what was best for us, we wouldn't even need God. If we had the power to get everything we wanted and we knew what we needed, we wouldn't even need Him. Because we know just enough to be completely dangerous to ourselves. We get out there and we get wrapped up in what we want. Not what we need, what we want. And we start doing things and we start trying to help God. And He don't need that. He doesn't need our help. What He needs us to do is just be obedient to what He said. Limited obedience equals limited blessings. Limited obedience means limited peace. Limited obedience means limited success. It's time for us to take the limits off God. The only limits God has are the limits that we place on Him through our limited obedience. When God says move, it's time to move. When God says give me some praise, it's time to give it to Him. And when God says be still and know that I'm God, it's time to just be still. What was interesting was that when this was done, when this whole event came to a close, Simon fell to his knees and said, "Depart from me, Lord, for I'm a sinful man. I didn't obey what you said, and I knew who you were." I knew who you were, and yet I didn't obey you. I knew what you could do, or at least I thought I knew, and yet I didn't obey you. How many places does that apply to in our lives? How many times does God speak to you? Just put a little thought in you and say, "Hey, not what you want to do." Because it's what we want. We go ahead and do it. We want to have a big bunch of mess. And sometimes I think God is sitting there going, "Look what you done. Now I got to go straighten all that out to give you what you were supposed to have to begin with. Now you got to go over the river and through the woods past Grandma's house to get back to where you were before you went out on your own." Detox. That's it. We drunk on ourselves. We're drunk on us. We smoking us. But it's the truth. How often do we get wrapped up in our daily, day-to-day life and forget to take just that couple of minutes to say, "Hey God, it's just me and you. I need you to lead me and guide me through this mess because it is a mess." And then sit there and listen and wait to see what He says. It's time to take the limits off God. Because I promise, if you just listen to what He says and act on it, you will get unlimited blessing. Because He said He came to give it to you. He said He came that you would have life and life more abundant. More abundant means more money, more money, more money. More peace, more peace, more peace. More understanding, more wisdom. All of these things. He said He'd add to you. You just got to listen. Now I found myself praying and praying and praying. "Lord, I need you to handle this. I need you to handle this. I need you to handle this." And finally, I was like, "I ain't hearing nothing." He said, "Because you ain't stopped asking me." Sit down and listen a minute. I'll give you direction. I was having some problems. I was really struggling at work. I was struggling. And I was like, "God, you're going to have to handle this because I'm at the end of what I know to do." And I prayed that prayer every day for 2.5 weeks. And I said, "Why am I not hearing from